What is up, guys? I'm bringing another casual con with a try-hard ass match, and this time it's a 3v3 against Art on Frag Nation. This was a pretty good match between both teams, regardless of, how some people on my team might not exactly be fans of everyone on the opposite team. I think the Art kids are a fairly cool bunch in general, but like I said, it was a good and exciting competitive match. We won the Frag Nation or whatever, but I'm kind of here to talk about a few things, especially I'm going to talk about the casual con try-hard match thing. As you guys who subscribe to me or whatever probably know, I do this thing where, I just upload this tryhardy ass match. I do some commentary over it, nothing really specific, no real topic per se. But I've been getting a lot of influx of tryhard ass matches, mostly, Uncharted 2 stuff from like various people. And me personally, I am sick of hearing my voice, and I don't know if you guys are, but I have a lot of great, competitive content at my disposal, a lot of videos, and I kind of feel like just uploading all of it, and I'm probably not going to be doing commentary over all of it because there's just too many matches, and I really feel like you guys should watch it, and I think you guys will enjoy it because what I've noticed is most of the videos that get the most views on my channel usually are kind of like competitive multiplayer stuff, and some of you guys, I'm assuming, have never even seen like the other stuff I did. Like I had an Assassin's Creed thing, I took it down. I'm probably going to bring it back up. It was like a walkthrough for the DLC, how to get 100% or whatever, but I might still be doing that stuff on the side. Like I said, I do want to upload other things just to help people out, and I record everything. Like I could probably upload a playthrough for just about almost every game I own, almost more or less, but I'm not going to do that. I'm assuming not everyone would have the time to watch that crap. But oddly enough, everyone loves watching these competitive matches, and I'll probably be focusing a little bit more on the competitive side in terms of my channel. So, if you like competitive gaming or stuff, or into, close, intense competitive matches from, strong teams, then I definitely recommend you stick around. And for those who actually did watch, the other crap I uploaded, I had like a God of War thing going, gave up, Dead Space, kind of gave up. I'll continue to do that sort of to a lesser degree, but my main focus on this channel, I think, would have kind of come to the conclusion is the competitive side of multiplayer gaming, kind of focus on that because that tends to get the most amount of views on my channel. And like I said, I am not doing this for any particular reason. I make no profit off of any videos I do. I just do it because, I want to share stuff with you guys, and I think you guys would enjoy seeing the stuff I have to offer. But like I said, not everyone's going to enjoy everything, but it seems like most people do enjoy the competitive, multiplayer stuff I tend to upload, so I'll probably be focusing on that. I do have other plans, of course, but we'll just see how it pans out in the future. But for now, I'm definitely going to be, focusing really hard on the competitive multiplayer scene. I have a lot of really good, exciting Uncharted 2 competitive matches. I don't really have any Uncharted 3 stuff. No one's really been sending me like any, customs or F5v5s or 4v4s, any FNs, anything of that sort with Uncharted 3, surprisingly. A lot of Uncharted 2 stuff, which is weird. So if you guys are really into Uncharted 2, which I'm sure most of you guys are, then you should probably stick around because you'll be seeing a lot of really awesome content coming from that particular angle. But like I said, that's the only real announcement I had to make. I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the competitive thing, and there's just not going to be commentary. I'm just going to upload it, get it out there so you guys can watch it and enjoy. I just simply don't have the time to put commentary over every video I upload. But I think you guys would really enjoy watching these matches I'll be uploading soon. I'll probably be doing uploading a match every day, maybe 2 matches if I can. Just no commentary, just really close competitive matches, 1 or 2 a day, just so I can get them all out there. I mean, I have that many competitive matches now. Like, people have been sending stuff into me by like the droves. In terms of Uncharted 2 anyway. Uncharted 3, not so much. I'm assuming most of the people who do Uncharted 3 competitive kind of have their own channel right now, so there's probably no need for that. But like I said, I'll be uploading a lot of really intense competitive Uncharted 2 stuff, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. Probably, watch it and stuff. No commentary, so you don't have to suffer through my obnoxious voice, which, everyone wins in the end. I don't have to speak, and you guys get to watch really cool stuff. Well, that's about it for that little announcement thing. I kind of want to talk about this match in particular, this little Frag Nation match. And I kind of want to talk about one thing that's kind of important that a lot of people don't really focus on, and that's kind of like reading your opponent. And it's a really common thing in fighting games. Like, for example, if you know a certain player has a certain habit with a X or Y character, you can kind of exploit that, use it to your advantage, because you kind of know after a while what their traits are, what their habits are. And you can kind of, work with that, exploit it. That same concept that is in fighters can be applied to shooters as well. If a certain team has a certain tendency to lurk in a certain area. Let's see a certain team isn't particularly effective at rushing a hot spot or something. You use that to your advantage. It's very important to be aware of what you're dealing with and know the opposition's strengths and weaknesses, and if they have any particular habits. For example, when we played against Art, we tied 3 times. I think actually maybe two times, and we finally won the third time on high school. And like I kept pointing out the fact that they loved getting into the caverns in this library. There's caverns on 2 side of the library in high school. This cavern right here, which I'm in right now, and then there's the other cavern right there, which leads to the hallway with the middle supply box and supply raid. And they always kind of like to linger in the caverns for some reason. So once we got the lead, we kind of like tried to linger in that area and kind of keep it away from them and see what they do. And oddly enough, like even if they were on the other side of the map, eventually they would make their way back to these caverns. And we kind of use that to our advantage, just, the predictability of the nature of the opponent. And one thing that they did kind of mix up was I think they were using the assault rifle, like the purchasable. Now in Frag Nation we have purchasables, armor. I think this stuff is like banned or whatever, like or optional to turn off or whatever. But they were all using kind of like assault rifles, which was a little bit unexpected. But like I said, we still won in the end, and I think it has large part due to the fact that we kind of just realized they were kind of being a little bit too predictable, and we used that to our advantage. And that's one thing I kind of want you guys to take away from this one little speech is don't try to be too predictable. But at the same time, definitely be aware of your weaknesses and stuff. Like if your team isn't particularly good on X or Y map, or if another team isn't really good on X or Y map, you use that to your advantage. It's not all about having raw skill or whatever. Like I said, I've emphasized this a few times in other videos, but being able to outsmart your player or trying to get in the mind of your opponent is definitely key. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. I try and read their opponents. Trying to screw with them. Some people think trash talking is just bad sportsmanship, but at the same time, if you can kind of get them to lose focus of the task at hand, by trash talking, that can be of great benefit. And a lot of people might not initially realize that this guy's just a prick and stuff. At the same time, there's a fine line between trash talking and kind of just being a prick at that point. But like I said, trash talking isn't just blatantly something that is done by people just to get on your nerves. Sometimes it can have an actual impact on a match. Like I said, there is a lot of mind games at the competitive level, and I think a lot of people don't initially realize that. I think a lot of people who play competitive gaming usually just assume it's all about skill and stuff, but smarts and reading opponents is definitely a key factor, and I think those are the reasons why certain teams remain on top and certain don't, just because they're so focused on the core mechanical level of the game that they don't think on the mental level of how the game is played. They don't really think of that aspect of the game, and I think that's a weakness for some teams. But I hope you guys keep that in mind when you guys do your competitive gaming, or even just matches in general. If you guys can spot or kind of get a feel for how the opponents are playing, or any habits they have, you definitely use that to your advantage. That cheesy old saying, knowing is half the battle. It has some truth to it. It really does. It's just, a lot of people just don't really understand how much it really matters. But like I said, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on the competitive scene. I'm going to be doing still The Last of Us, even though a lot of people are saying, there's multiplayer's dead and the ladder, nobody's supporting or whatever. But like I said, Game Battles is continuing to support this. It's a very active ladder. If you're remotely interested in getting into the competitive scene or just giving it a try, I would recommend Game Battles right now, because on Frag Nation, I'm not really sure there are very many active teams playing on that ladder right now, whereas Game Battles, there's a lot of matches being played. And I think another reason why it's so active is simply because of the fact that, unlike Frag Nation, where people can kind of dodge, your challenges and stuff, you don't really know what team you're playing until, you accept a match finder. And, I mean, you can kind of guess by looking at, their dispute, their reputation or whatever, but it's kind of just a rough guess. You don't really know what you're playing until you finally accept the match. And obviously at that point, you can't really, dodge or whatever. Maybe you can postpone or forfeit, maybe if you have to, if you don't have enough people. We've been in that situation, but some people are kind of pricks about it. Some people are really Scrooge and stingy about some of the rules on Game Battles, and I think that's another reason that I have a huge problem with that line in particular. Is I love how it's more active and stuff, but I really don't like how every other team has different rules, and they're always really ridiculous, really specific. And I kind of don't like that, whereas Frag Nation, it kind of enforces these all-encompassing rules that you have to play by. Whereas GB, if you look at every team, they kind of have their own little rules that their team will play by. which I find a little bit obnoxious, but it is pretty cool that like it's a very active ladder. We've played quite a few matches, so if you're interested, the competitive, actually being competitive on The Last of Us, then sign up for Game Battles. It's really easy, really quick. Get some friends, make a team and start playing some matches because it's actually fairly active. And I know sometimes I kind of like discriminate a little bit, all the pubs and stuff, but pubs are kind of competitive. It's just a lot of times with public matchmaking and stuff, you are competing more or less. Don't get me wrong, it can be competitive in public matchmaking. At the same time, you're dealing with an array of people, whereas when you're playing at a competitive level on a competitive platform or whatever, everyone more or less has accepted the fact that they're playing at a competitive level and they're playing against like-minded people on that same mental track. Whereas on public matchmaking, you can just have, casual kids who are just playing for fun. You might have kids who are idle. You might have kids who are just strictly just playing for trophies or they're bored. I mean, you get an array of people, not all with a like-minded mindset, where competitive gaming, everyone more or less has the same mindset, which is to win, to compete and stuff. And I think that's why, there's kind of a significant difference between, competitive gaming and, just public matchmaking. Even though both, it's called competitive multiplayer, it's not really, like, consistent simply due to the fact that not everyone's going to be playing the competitive multiplayer is going to be on the same page. Not everyone cares about winning. Some people, like trolling. Some people are simply idle. And like I said, you get an array of people not with the same mindset. And I think that's what takes away from, public matchmaking kind of being considered, competitive at that same level as, competitive gaming, where everyone's kind of thinking, competitive, the competitive mindset and about winning and stuff. Public matchmaking, it simply isn't the same. At the same time, I mean, if you enjoy, just competing, you want something quick and seamless, then, public matching is for, if you don't really feel like wasting time, signing up for a website just to compete on ladders and stuff, you just want to, compete against other people, then, public matching is the way to go. But I do feel like competitive gaming in general, it is a little bit different, and I do wish more multiplayer games kind of had a playlist that's literally focused, strictly competitive. I've said this a previous time as well, that I don't really necessarily agree with that, but I'm kind of seeing that it does kind of, at the very least create a basic atmosphere for people to get a taste of competitive gaming. And I mean, at least it's a playlist, so it's kind of easy to jump in. You don't have to sign up for any website or anything. And I know League of Legends has this, Call of Duty Black Ops integrated, League Play or whatever. And I do wish more games did it, but at the same time, I think it has a large in part due to the fact that not every game is kind of built with a competitive mindset. Some games are a little bit different. They'll have a lot of features that they boast about, but they're not exactly the right features or the right mechanics that make a game competitive. And I think that's the issue with all multiplayer games. I think why some of the old school, greater multiplayer games that played competitively were successful was because they were so basic and there wasn't all this horseshit that you find in a lot of multiplayer games these days, where developers are just boasting, oh man, we have like 50 guns, we have like 20 different modes, we got 5 different customization skins. Like, yeah, they have boosting an array of options and such, but like that doesn't really make a multiplayer game that great. And I think that's why The Last of Us has been surprisingly spry and alive with the GB community is simply due to the fact that it's pretty basic, it's pretty clean, and outside of maybe mollies and purchasables, there's not a lot of bullshit, and it kind of is similar to SOCOM. It's got that SOCOM-y feel, it's got like a Gears feel, and some people argue it's going to go to SOCOM too, and I'd probably agree. But I mean, considering the disaster SOCOM 4 was, I mean, this is a fine substitute considering what happened to Zipper, which I won't discuss in this video. But like I said, I think it's important for people to understand that I'm not diminishing people who enjoy their time playing public matchmaking and being competitive in that way. It's just it simply really isn't the same level when you're playing at a competitive level against people all with a similar mindset. It's a totally different game, totally different ballpark, and I do feel like people should give it a try. And I do feel like sometimes the competitive scene kind of gets a bad rap for people. Oh, you take the game too seriously. Oh, the competitive gamers are always douches and stuff, and that's not really the case. I mean, there are people like that, but there's plenty of polite people that we've encountered on game battles that are very polite, very respectful, and it's been a very enjoyable experience. Of course, we've had that typical negative experience, but I mean that happens the same thing in public matchmaking. You'll get that same instance in public matchmaking, so there really isn't no difference. You still kind of get an array of people, but I do feel like if you haven't tried competitive gaming at all in anything, or you feel a little bit, on the fence about it, I think you should at the very least give it a try. I think there's a lot of, pros to it, and it's only a few cons that I could think of, honestly. So if you haven't tried, doing anything competitive multiplayer-wise, if you're definitely into multiplayer, definitely think about, taking it to the next level, the competitive level. And that's about it for this commentary. I'm surprised I was able to rant for this long, but as I said, hope you enjoy this commentary. Look forward to the future content I'll be uploading, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
53 matches.